Morning, folks. On the water today with Jake Harshman. He's already out there. He's caught a couple. We're on a lake that that he's recommended we get out and do a little filming on. And he says that bluegill are the main forage. And I got a live target bluegill wake bait. I got, let's see what else we got. We got a Mattlers bluegill swim bait, and I got a lot of other things that have gold in it. You know, we'll give it a go. See if we can get them thinking that they're chomping on some bluegill here. What are you getting them on, man?
Been a white jackhammer.
Okay.
Almost, it's been a one-note song, to be honest with you.
Nice. What kind of depth are you working?
Basically, in between the 3 to 5 foot range.
Okay.
Is where I've caught almost all the fish recently in this body of water. Just varying the retrieve to the day with the jackhammer, whether they want it slow, fast, or stop and go, or bouncing, or popping. Like it just figure out what they want that day. But literally, it's just been the jackhammer. If I've caught 75 fish out of this body of water in the past week and a half, 74 of them have been on a white jackhammer.
Nice.
So
keep chucking it, man.
Yes, sir. So I'm gonna start fishing this riprap along this bank, and it's a real steep drop off where it goes from about 3 to 12 feet immediately. I'm gonna fish in that very shallow end because that's where I've been catching the fish. And then there's a spot down here where the water level goes from literally from 12 feet right back up to 4, and it's very shallow with rock. There's wood. It's protected from current. It's protected from wind, and it's been a very special spot the past few days. Say that, very special. So I'm gonna hit this riprap along this bank, and then hopefully I get something good for you guys.
Whatever. Alright, first fish for me on the live target bluegill.
You're casting them in 5 feet.
Is it?
Yeah, because you're casting about a little bit parallel to where I'm at.
I'm a little bit deeper.
A little bit deeper. That may be the ticket.
Let's take a look at that. Just a wake bait. I missed one a second ago, but that's the wake bait I'm gotten 2 bites on. I've mostly been behind the camera filming, but this bank looks really nice, and Jake's saying that the grass is coming up here. A little bit of emerging grass. I'm gonna keep going with that live target. Wake bait, bluegill. Nice. Does that help you in your
I don't think it's gonna help me.
state challenge, whatever?
It's probably about 18, but
I think the head on that is a little bit bigger than 18, man.
I'm gonna guess 18.
All right.
I don't know how many of your viewers know Russell Johnson,
Yeah.
but he decided to go and put 106.5 inches up in the Pennsylvania State Challenge this month.
Yeah.
To catch him is going to be something special, very special.
All right. So what do you need to call right now?
I need to call 19, or I need 19-inch fish or better to call.
Nice. That's a good set then.
Yeah. This fish, she might be spawned out.
Yeah. A little loose there.
Yeah.
Huh.
She's not like super bloody in the tail, but you can tell. Oh yeah, I guess she is on that side. I think she spawned out.
Huh.
So, good fish. You're doing your job.
So you can see from the crankbait here and what's hanging on it, we got a lot of shallow vegetation coming up, and this wake bait and his Z-Man chatterbait jackhammer is swimming right over the tops of it and just kind of tickling it. I do want to talk briefly about the power of the pause. So when you're putting something out there and I'm getting a nice long cast, you know, you move it along and just focus on it and say, all right, it's going to happen now. You always have that optimism, but every so often in your retrieve, just pause it and then keep going. When you have a follower, a fish that follows and is curious but not yet committed, that pause makes them do it. It's sort of like if you're tailgating someone and they jam on the brakes, what happens? You know, you either swerve or you hit them. And we want them to hit it. We want them to smash it. And, you know, that pause is a great strike trigger. I think it's the same sort of change in behavior that is a strike trigger with a spinnerbait hitting wood or a crankbait, you know, the bill smacking off of a rock. It's a pause or a change in direction, change in speed. I will also, you know, shift my rod tip to the other side. So if it's coming along in here, all of a sudden it starts going there. Just change it up. Give them different looks. But the pause is the easiest way with whatever cast and retrieve lure you're using. Just to give them that periodic. And I know with this bait, because it's one that floats up, it may look like this fish is going to the surface to get something. It's moving along, maybe injured, maybe stunned, and you know, you give them. I'm hanging on a little grass there. You give them a little bit of a reason to say, all right, why are you going to the surface? You know, why are you floating up? Why are you not continuing on your path? Are you trying to get away from me? Are you trying to eat something? Are you distracted? What's, you know, something other than just a straight up retrieve. Let up on that treble hook, let up on the drag so that treble hook stays put. He's not a giant. I can put that back. You want to shake it? You can shake it. I thought he was bigger. He actually hit him in the head. Out on a little bit of a point. It's still fairly shallow, leading out into a bunch of 6 and 7 foot deep water, but that point comes out, I don't know, there's a whole lot of 2 feet deep water extending out into that 6 and 7 foot deep water with grass on either side.
All right, So we are not having as much success as I have been having on the white color recently. And I'm not sure if I've taught these fish a lot because I've caught a lot of them the past week. I don't know if that's the case, but I'm gonna try a color change for that reason. As I was saying earlier, I mean, I caught a ton of fish this week on a plain white chatterbait, plain white trailer. This thing's been doing a lot of work. The water clarity has improved about a foot more visibility than we had the last time I was here. So I'm gonna try a dark green pumpkin with kind of like a golden shiner type of trailer. This is a Yamamoto trailer. I'm gonna put that on there and see if maybe that change up, makes them more apt to biting it, because maybe the white has just done them wrong past couple of days. So we're gonna give that a shot and see if it can be a little bit more productive.
So I'm trying out the, I think they call them the flex wings, or I forget what they call it. The bona fide little wings that go on behind the skid plates. So just trying to get a sense. I mean, it does help with the tracking a little bit, but I'm curious what it does with regard to the turning radius. And I will say with the Torquedo, I think it's overpowering it, but it is somewhat limiting in its turning radius. And maybe the trade-off for that is, better tracking and the stern stays put in the wind. That's something that I guess a lot of customers said they were looking for, either to get a rudder going or to, I think this is, I think Bonafide will have the rudder going, but I still got pretty crisp steering here. I'm turning around, basically within my own length. So no, Torquedo overpowers them when it needs to, but then I think you get the benefit of good tracking when you do need it. So cool product, innovative, and something we just haven't seen before. So Jake hasn't really come out and said it yet, but he caught his personal best here recently.
Yeah.
Shallow?
Tuesday, yeah.
Okay, Tuesday. What was it?
8 pounds, 8 ounce.
Good Lord.
Bass, largemouth bass.
Okay, that fish was shallow, and you've been fishing shallow.
Correct, yeah.
Have you connected with anything close to that?
No, the biggest fish I've caught today was 18 inches.
Okay, and you got a number of other big fish when you got your personal best, or earlier in the week?
Earlier in the week, we between me and somebody else, we pulled 4 19s out of here, 21 1/4, a 22 3/4, and a whole mess of almost 19s.
Shallow.
Very much so, yeah.
Okay. There is some deep water here that's interesting. We're not catching them shallow, and that's when it's time to map out some deep water structure. Now, deep is relative, and you said that you fished this lake in the summer and it chokes up with a lot of this grass that I see hung up on your mushroom anchor, and I'm bringing back in with the chatterbait and everything else.
This lake in the summertime will be 70% covered in grass.
Okay. I did a really quick, and I know you saw me, just zooming back and forth on the Torquedo. Just zoom, 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 zoom. And I'm poking at this depth finder right here. And what I'm marking here, I'm marking the creek channel. So let's go through the process so you can do the same. But it's not just the creek channel that you want to mark. You want to mark grass edges. And the really important piece of information that I figured out in this lake, which this isn't new growth, this new grass, it's different in each lake. And this lake, well, I'll give you a for instance. A very clear lake that I fish at home, the grass starts at 17 feet deep. That's unusual. This lake, it's 8.5. So 8.5 feet is a magic number for you on this lake. So wherever this summer where you find 8.5 foot deep, 8.5 foot depth, it will transition from the edge of all that grass to like, it just cuts off. It's like trees and then like the edge of the field, and just like deer,
Yeah.
they go right to that edge and they stop and they hang out right on that transition. So you want to find those deep water transitions. Now, what I've marked and what I'm going to show you how to mark is the creek channel, but you can do the same thing with a deep grass edge. That's what I would suggest for you to do.
Okay.
Because the creek channel on this particular body of water isn't really pronounced. It is in a couple places, but it's not the most dramatic feature. The most dramatic feature is the grass edge. And what I would do now, before things get really thick, and you can zoom over, you know, grass that's 6 feet deep and it not choke up totally, is I would go around the perimeter of wherever, you know, you've been fishing and mark the deep grass edge from where it goes from a hard bottom up to where you start seeing stuff emerge. And what I've seen, 8.5 feet deep is it. But let me show you the process by which we mark the creek channel. And I've already marked. You can see here that I've just dropped. I've zigzagged back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And each time I think I'm in the creek channel, and we'll show it to you here on the depth finder, I've dropped a waypoint. So I can see this creek channel starts out here and it's pretty vague, but as it comes in here, I know that it gets tighter and tighter and tighter. It has steep drop-offs. Let's go take a look at one of those steep drop-offs and maybe drop one more waypoint on this. But you can tell this you know, particular lake isn't even mapped. It's not on, I don't have it on this. And even when it is, even when you do have a decent bathymetric map, you do have good charts on there, sometimes, I don't know, things change and things aren't totally what you're, you know, what they represent out there. It doesn't always show you the creek channel. So this is a way to mark the creek channel. You can do the same thing with the grass edge. I'd say the grass edge in this lake is the more important feature. So that's, after you watch what I do, I want you to do that so that you can come back out here in the summer and just smash them.
All right, sounds good to me.
Yeah. All right, so we're starting on this bank and we're just going to zoom across there in that direction, and we're just going to see what happens here. So we know it's fairly steep right on that bank, and we pull right down into the creek channel. Might even see a few fish in there, and that's, you know, that's about where I drop a waypoint. I hit okay. I can tell, hey, it's starting to come up. We dropped another waypoint in that channel. All right, coming across here. There's that 8.5 foot transition, and it'll start dropping off here pretty quick. So you see some bare bottom. Yeah, once you're 8.8, all right, and then I'm gonna shut it off because we've hit the creek channel pretty hard right there. You can see the creek channel. So you kind of saw everything there all at once. Creek channel, and then right before that we saw the grass, and actually it's starting to pick up here again at 7 feet. But the 8 foot mark, go out and mark on that opposite shore wherever you see a hard grass line.
Okay.
All right, just go drop a bunch of waypoints, and what you're trying to do is zigzag across it. And as you zigzag and you see either that grass edge or the creek channel, you're dropping little dots that show you here's the shape of it, because you don't always have a good map to go by. You got to make your own and make those lines. Make sense?
Yeah.
All right, let's go do it. So while he's gonna go mark the grass edge out there, I'm gonna make use of this creek channel I've marked. Got a deep diving crankbait, like, oh, what a mess. Ignore the spinner baits there. Like that. Nice big bill on there, and it's getting down deep. And I'm just traveling along that creek channel, and I'll go back and forth until I start picking up fish. I can see that there are fish in the creek channel, and I can feel that it's digging down. The diving bill is chiseling down in there. I'm going 1.6 mile an hour. I'm gonna speed that up just to hit a hair. The other thing is I can feel that it's hitting a harder bottom, and it's not digging down into the grass. It's not a big ball of vegetation moving through the water. It's chiseling, you know, picking away at some hard bottom there. So that's one way. I can see that I'm a little bit on the inside of the turn. I'm going to turn back this way to stay totally on the creek channel. And sometimes it'll come along and it'll drop steep on one side and then be a real gradual taper on the other. Usually I like the steep side. Not always though. But that's part of pattern development. Did you catch them on the steep break or the shallow one, or even, you know, where it goes down, comes back up, and then there's a ridge line with like stumps or something. I don't know. That's what you got to figure out. But having mapped out the creek channel itself or the grass line early in the season, you get to use that late in the season when you come back, you know, in the summer when everyone's still beating the bank and really not catching much of anything of note. You can go out to those deeper water structures because you've mapped them out and really take advantage of them. So this crankbait isn't quite, still ticking the bottom at 12.6. So I'm going to run back up to the truck real quick, get one with a deeper diving bill, and really hammer away and see if I can catch some of these big fish that that Jake's been catching here. There's got to be more. This is a good way to find them post spawn. All right. I've tried several passes with this deep diving crankbait. It's a Norman's DD22. Should get down to about 17 feet. So this, I think the deepest out here I saw was maybe 14 feet. No bites on it so far. I am marking fish though in the creek channel. So I'm gonna switch over from trolling the deep diving crankbait to yo-yoing lipless rattlebait. This one is a live target golden shiner. So I'm doing running the same lines that I was running with the deep diving crankbait, but I'm going much slower. The lipless rattlebait is back behind me, maybe, I don't know, 30 feet, but I'm letting it hit the bottom, and I'm just I'm not even registering speed, but I am moving forward. So probably a rate of 0.1, 0.2 mile per hour. I'm just tracing the creek channel, ripping that sucker up, and I'm waiting for the crunch as it drops. So the creek channel pattern has not materialized, and I really shouldn't expect it to, but it's important just because, you know, they are in varying stages of pre-spawn, spawning, and post-spawn. They're still near shallow water, but it's important to map out these deep water structures, especially on a very weedy lake like this, early in the season before it becomes sort of difficult to locate that that type of pattern in what's going to turn into a whole lot of shallow water with grass coming up to the surface, and it may not be as obvious as it is early in the season. So it's good to map it now. We'll come back here in the summer and do the same thing, and I bet you it's loaded up with fish. For now, I'm going to head back shallow. I can see that Jake's already up in the shallows. I'm going to keep going with what I got on, which is the lipless rattlebait. I think that coming through that grass, ripping out of there, is, you know, certainly liable to wake some up like we did with the bluegill wake bait this morning, and also the jackhammer chatterbait. This is just fan casting, and this is a giant crappie, isn't it? It's a huge crappie.
Holy smokes, dude.
It's
wow.
It's as big of a crappie as I've ever caught. Oh.
PB crappie and PB bass in the same lake.
And it ate it. like,
Holy smokes! That thing's what, like 16 inches, 17
I don't know.
inches?
Where's your marker?
I got it right here. Holy freak. Dude, that is a slab.
It's hoping for bass, but that's a pretty cool crappie.
Dude,
I gotta get hooks out of this thing. It is like, it ate it. Do you eat fish?
I do. I'll eat that.
Okay, well, I got them pretty deep. The problem is I got them
pretty bad.
I got them in that gill arch.
They come here crappie fishing and bluegill fishing.
Huh. So it's an overlooked bass lake.
Very much so.
Okay. Well,
I bet you this thing's at least 16 inches, man.
wash it off. It looks awful. I don't know that it's 16. You think so?
I think so. Oh, it's all right.
It's 15.
All right. Still, dude, look at the egg sac on that thing.
15 incher.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm gonna take some pictures after we wash the blood off.
You want to hold it up and I'll take a picture?
Oh man, I'll get you in there. Got it. Cool. Okay, there you go.
Oh.
There's dinner. Enjoy.
We're over there messing around with 12 feet of water and they're over here in 1.5 feet.
Yeah. Well, you know, these are maybe second wave spawners, and you got the first wave spawners the other day. I mean, this is where they're gonna spawn. Shallow. I just spooked another. Just chucking a chatter or the jackhammer. Where we got a lot of 2.3 foot deep water. Jake just nailed the 18.25. I don't know what that one was. Not as big as his. Lots of activity shallow. Oh, something's been pecking at this one. It's got marks on it.
What in the hell would be doing that? Because I don't think there's anything in here that's a dominant species other than that.
No, it's a bird peck.
Oh, okay.
It's absolutely a stab through and through with a beak. Pah! Look at that.
Fish.
You got him?
Yeah. Oh, don't get tied up there. That's a good one too.
Yeah, nice. Get a net under him.
Wrong side, Jake.
Three in a row.
So, this one's got marks on her too.
Yeah. Chunky. Chunky monkey.
Yeah, she's full of egg.
So, I would say that's second wave of the spawn.
Yeah.
You know, it's a nice fish, but it's not an alpha. It's not the first one to, you know, roll in and spawn. That's cool. 3 in a row.
So is it just the grass line that's making them hold here?
I think so. Real dense grass here, and then it opens up here, and we're throwing out into the open water, bringing it back into the grass. I'm gonna line one up with this grass line here because I think they're right on the edge. I've just been trolling back at a very slow rate with the chatterbait. Came into probably 4 feet of water. Trolling. Totally underrated. by bass fishermen. Cool. Appreciate the invite, man.
Yeah,
I'm gonna get down the road.
Thanks for coming. We'll see you.
It is a cool place for sure.
It's a cool fishery. I didn't live up to its potential today, but I think there's something special here. So
Yeah. I think, you know, if you've marked a different channel than the one that I did.
yeah,
What did you say? You used the
I was using Auto Chart Live on
Okay.
on the Humminbird feature,
right?
and basically just mapping out the bottom of the lake. Since this lake doesn't have a map for it, Navionics, it's not on there. You won't find it on anywhere. So I used the Auto Chart Live, and
So that's just the side imaging on both sides, and then
Yeah,
you
you
run
can-
a path, and then
Yep.
you have a map that.
yeah, you can set it out to whatever distance you want to set it to. I probably made a mistake today because I think I only had it out to 75 feet or 75 yards. I'm not sure which one.
Well, you gathered some intel there
Yeah.
that I think come summertime is going to be, but I would still come back to the critical depth here
It's the deep
is
water.
8.5
Yeah.
feet. Wherever I've been in this lake, I see a bare flat bottom if it's if it's 9 feet or deeper. It happens
Right.
right around 8.5. So
Yeah, I would agree, because there's no, it's not showing any dead vegetation or anything on the bottom in those depth ranges. So I learned something today.
cool. Me too. See you, man.
See you, Jeff.